Hello, everyone. We have close to 40 viewers already. Happy Sunday to you. We have visitors from coast to coast in all time zones. We are grateful that you've made us part of your Sunday afternoon as we celebrate the life of Jim Domian, who passed away last Sunday morning. I'm Dave Neely. I'm married to Cassie, one of Jim's granddaughters, and I'm honored that Shirley asked me last Sunday to help put this together. Jim has done so much for all of us, including myself, over the past decade, as I've known him as a grandfather-in-law. And I hope that over the next 30 to 45 minutes that I can pay some of that back by putting this together and let Jim know how much we love him and appreciate him. Collectively, Jim was our brother, our uncle, our cousin, our husband, our father, our grandfather, our great-grandfather, our boss, and our friend. And he will be missed. As I'm reading through some of these Facebook comments, that is very clear that he was loved and he will be missed. We're going to start with an opening prayer, and I have asked Bentley, my son, one of Jim's great-grandsons, to offer that prayer. He's going to come sit on my lap and say that.
Dear Heavenly Father, dear, thank you for this day. Please bless the food to be good, and please bless that it can make us be happy and remember Papa. Please help us love him and remember him and be happy. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen. Okay, thank you, Bentley. We're going to start with the life sketch and a eulogy as it was read by one of Jim's granddaughter's husband, Garrett.
James Samuel Domian was born February 3rd, 1939, and passed away on January 24th, 2021 due to complications from COVID-19, just 10 days before his 82nd birthday. Jim was born in Sharpsburg, Pennsylvania, to his parents Rose and Samuel. He moved to California in the 1960s and met the love of his life, Shirley, who also grew up in the Pittsburgh area. The two returned to Pennsylvania to wed and spent the next 57 years of their lives together. A serial entrepreneur, Jim owned several businesses, including Jim's Meat Locker, Blue Ribbon Meats, Lobster City, Cowboy Jim's, Jim's One-Stop Party Shop, and Jim's Quality Catering. After retiring, Jim and Shirley moved to Las Vegas to be closer to their grandchildren in Utah. Jim filled his days with golfing, running an eBay store, and flipping houses. In the final years of his life, he and Shirley made countless trips to Utah to be with family during special occasions and holidays. Jim was a man full of fun and adventure. He spent many weeks a year in Cancun with his family, scuba diving, and enjoying the sun. He traveled to 6 continents during his lifetime and always took the time to learn the language and culture of those places he visited. He loved connecting to people, sharing stories, and trying new things. Jim is survived by a family that loved him dearly, including his wife Shirley, daughters Leah and Tina, grandchildren Gina, Cassie, Jodi, Brock, Kyle, and Kurt, and great-grandchildren Reese, Jordan, Porter, Bentley, Crosby, Lenore, and with another coming in a few weeks. His life was dedicated to his family and making sure that they were always having fun and feeling loved. Jim Domian, our family member and friend, will greatly be missed.
Thank you, Garrett. His last line there was, Jim will surely be missed. I failed to mention a few minutes ago, if you are watching, will you please sign in to the chat section so that we can know who's watching and where you're watching from. Also, feel free to write any stories in there that we can look back on and remember as we go through some of the chat sections. What we're going to do for the next couple minutes is watch some slideshows that celebrate the life of Jim and honor him as a sibling, as a man, as a husband, as a father, as a grandfather, and as a great-grandfather. And then mixed in between some of those slideshows, we have thoughts and memories that have been sent in. So we're going to start with one of Jim's favorite songs. Shirley told us last night that he loved the YMCA, and we are going to look back at the life of Jim Domian with one of his favorite tunes.
realized I felt the whole world was so tired. That's when someone came up to me and said, young man, take a walk up the street. It's a place there called the YMCA. They can start you back on your way. It's fun to stay at the YMCA. It's fun to stay at the YMCA. They have everything from your mental joy. You can hang out with all the boys. YMCA. It's fun to stay at the YMCA. Young man, there's no need to feel down. Young man, pick yourself off the ground. YMCA. It's fun to stay at the YMCA. Young man, are you listening to me? Young man, what do you wanna be? YMCA. You'll find it at the YMCA. No man, does it all by himself. Young man, put your pride on the shelf. YMCA. And just go to the YMCA. Young man, I was once in your shoes. Young man, I was down with the blues.
We sure loved that smile, and we'll never forget it. Looking at that last picture, Gina said that their daughters out in New Mexico said that's one of their lasting memories of Jim, that orange man zip-lining through the jungles of Cancun, and they say he's now zip-lining in heaven, and I think we can all smile at that thought that he's up there doing that. Jim had 2 daughters, Leah and Tina, and they both have sent in several pictures over the past couple days that I've put into this slideshow. Here is some images of Jim Domian as a father.
I can't remember when you weren't there, when I didn't care for anyone but you. I swear we've been through everything there is. Can't imagine anything we've missed. Can't imagine anything the two of us can't do. Through the years, you've never let me down. You've turned my life around. The sweetest days I found with you. Through the years, I never had a doubt. We'd always work things out. I've learned what life's about by loving you through the years.
That song Through the Years was the song that Jim and Leah danced to at Leah's wedding, and she requested that song. Thanks to both Tina and Leah for sending in those images to let us experience some of your childhood and some of the moments that you had with your dad. Tina sent in some memories and some thoughts, and we'll watch those right now.
Hi, this is Tina. My dad lived a very fulfilled life for a person in his 80s, still traveling the world, golfing 3 times a week, and playing with his great-grandchildren. I truly enjoyed watching him from afar and seeing him so happy. My dad didn't know the definition of a stranger. He always reached out and wanted to help others. He definitely left a lasting impression. Not always the best impression, but a lasting impression. When asked to share some special memories, there are so many, but I wanted just to highlight some that really stood out in my lifetime. Camping and houseboating. We camped every year, and he took the time to take a week off, and we were able to camp and houseboat. He taught me how to navigate the boat, launch, and drive it. Houseboating, for those of you who got to join us, we learned quickly that you don't start a water balloon fight with a bunch of 20-year-olds. Pretty sure that we broke a window. Snow skiing. My dad would push me hard to try harder, be better. I learned to follow him in his tracks, literally. And if he stopped quickly, I would crash into him in the beginning. And finally, he said I need to stay just a little further back. Working alongside of him in the party store, both as a young adult and after I got married, helping him with catering and supporting his business. Being there for all the sports for the kids, the endless parties, exploring Mexico and diving, and then coaching my boys both in football and soccer. Mantras that he taught me that I live by: work hard, play hard, keep your word, don't wait for things to happen, make things happen, and be someone that people can count on. These are the life lessons that are instilled in me and have shaped me to who I am today. I am so fortunate to have such a great dad who was so involved with all of our children and all of our lives. I know that his loss will be felt by many, and he will be missed. Dad, I love you.
Thank you, Tina, for sending that in. Jim's other daughter, Leah, put some poems together, and she read that for me last night. And here are Leah's thoughts.
It was time for you to go, but you did not say goodbye. I'll look for you in rainbows way high up in the sky. And in the morning sunrise, when all the world's anew, I'll sit in peace and quiet and reflect on memories of you. I'll look for you in rainbows high up in the sky. And in the evening sunset, and when the stars are nigh, my heart still aches in sadness, my silent tears still flow. For what it means to lose you, no one will ever know. Every waking moment, and all my whole life through, I'll look for you in rainbows and be right there with you. And though you've walked through heaven's gate, we're never far apart. For every time I think of you, you're deep within my heart. Time for us to part now, though we didn't say goodbye. I'll look for you in rainbows up in the shining sky. The fact that you're no longer here will always cause me pain, but you're forever in my heart until we meet again. Happy birthday, Dad.
I knew Jim for over 45 years. He was such a giving man. He always made sure everyone had what they needed to be happy. He will be greatly missed.
Thank you, Leah and Ken. He sure will be missed, and I agree with Leah. We can look for Jim in all different aspects of our life and feel his spirit and see his smile in our mind as we move on without him. I met Jim in I think, January of 2009. And so I've known him for about 12 years. And to me, he was always Cassie's grandpa. And Cassie would share these incredible stories of adventures they went on to the East Coast or to Hawaii or to Mexico. And I've vicariously experienced those through her stories. And now, as we watch this slideshow of Jim Domian as a grandpa in the younger years of his grandchildren. What amazing memories those kids have with Jim. And he liked that song. I can't remember when he told me, but I vaguely remember that he told me, I really like that song, or he sang it to me once. And then we were talking with Shirley last night about songs that Jim liked, and she mentioned that one again. So I thought I'd throw it in there. Miley says that the girls are dancing there in New Mexico while watching that song. So hopefully that slideshow brought some smiles to all your faces. Brock is one of Jim's grandsons, and he recorded this for us.
I've spent the last few days trying to figure out what I can say about my grandpa in just a few minutes, and frankly, it's hard. I mean, what do you say about the man who spent my entire life so dedicated to his family? Ever since I was a kid, I can remember him taking us on trips, coming to all my sporting events, having us help out in the store. He just loved to be surrounded by his grandkids. I'm so grateful for all the time I was able to spend with him and the memories I have. I'm thankful for all the things he taught me over the years, and yes, I'm even thankful for his stories, no matter how outrageous some of them are. I get told a lot now how much I act and sound like him sometimes, and I'm honestly really glad. He was such a good man, and if I can be like him one day and make that kind of impact on people that he made and change lives the way that he did, then I'll feel like I was able to do him proud.
Thank you, Brock, for sending that in. And this is from Jodi.
My name is Jodi Coleman, and I am Jim's number 3 granddaughter. I have so many feelings right now. This is the hardest thing I've ever done. saying goodbye to the most influential man in my life. Papa was more than a grandpa. He basically raised us. He took us back to school shopping, spent hours just watching us try on clothes and helping us decide on our looks. And it's not usually a man's job, but he loved it. He loved to spend the day with us shopping. He loved taking us places, whether it was on a big vacation or just a day at the lake, always followed with an ice cream from Foster's Freeze. What I admire most about Papa was his energy. He was like the Energizer Bunny. He was always going and going and going, always doing something. He loved to have a project. And even on vacation, he wanted to be going constantly. He didn't want to miss anything, any of the activities, any of the things that the place we were at had to offer. When we were in Cancun with my family, with my husband and 2 boys, my husband asked him if he wanted to take a break and rest. And his reply was that he could rest when he was dead. Well, I hope he's resting now. And I know he's up there watching over us, especially his great-grandkids. I don't think there's anyone in this world he loved as much as his great-grandkids. He came up every chance he got, every birthday party, baby blessing, anything, and he was here. He did not want to miss it. And I'm so glad he did, because now my boys have amazing memories with their great-grandpa. I hope that I can be like him and not take life too seriously, and that I can enjoy every bit. I wish that we had more time. But I know that we are lucky, so lucky, to have had him in our lives. We love you, Papa. I hope you finally do take that rest.
Thank you, Jodi. One of her last lines there, when she talks about how fortunate we are to have had the memories we had with Jim, reminded me of a conversation I had a couple of days ago with Greg Domian out in the Pittsburgh area, one of Jim's cousins. And Greg said, if not for the sad times, and certainly right now this is a sad time, if not for the sad times, we wouldn't recognize the happy times. And we talked about the opportunity that we'll have to look back on Jim's life for years to come and have smiles and feelings of joy overpower the tears and heartache that we feel right now. Jodi, thanks for sending that in. Jim and Shirley moved to Las Vegas, I don't know exactly the year, but 7 or 8 years ago, I believe. And it was awesome to have them closer to a lot of us in Utah. And they made so many trips to Utah for birthday parties and baby blessings and holidays. And those are the memories that will stick with me forever. And so we've created a second slideshow highlighting Jim Domian as a grandpa for the past couple years of his life.
There's no combination of words I could put on the back of a postcard. No song that I could sing, but I can try for your heart. And our dreams, and they are made out of real things, like a shoebox of photographs with sepia tone loving. Love is the answer, at least, for most of the questions in my heart. Like, why are we here and where do we go, and how come it's so hard? And it's not always easy, and sometimes life can be deceiving. I'll tell you one thing, it's always better when we're together. It's always better when we're together. Yeah, we'll look at them stars when we're together. Well, it's always better when we're together. Yeah, it's always better when we're together. Moments just might find their way into my dreams tonight, but I know that they'll be gone when the morning light sings or brings new things. For tomorrow night you see that they'll be gone too. Too many things I have to do, but if all of these dreams might find their way into my day-to-day scene, I'd be under the impression I was somewhere in between, with only two, just me and you. Not so many things we got to do, or places we got to be. We'll sit beneath the mango tree now. Yeah, it's always better when we're together. We're somewhere in between together. Well, it's always better when we're together. Yeah, it's always better when we're together.
That song, Better Together, was the song that Jim and Gina danced to at Gina's wedding a couple years ago in New Mexico, and she requested that song. Certainly a lot of memories in those pictures. I would like to just share real quick before we move on to Cassie that Jim and Shirley invited us to go to Cancun with them, I think in 2014 for the first time. And I remember there was a BYU volleyball game that I was going to have to miss, and so I was, to be totally honest, I was kind of upset that Cassie planned this trip. But I went, of course, and it was the funnest week of my life, being with Jim and Shirley, and he was just nonstop from 6 a.m. the day we got there. We had scuba diving lessons, and then at noon that day we were scuba diving out in the coral reefs in Cancun, and that was basically our schedule until our plane flight left the next Saturday. Those were life-changing vacations for me and my family, and I know for the other grandkids as well. So Jim, thank you for inviting us on those, and Shirley, thanks for letting us tag along on those trips. Cassie is my wife and another one of Jim's granddaughters, and here is what she recorded.
Papa was always such a character, from the larger-than-life stories he told, to the costumes he wore at his garage sales, to the child he became when he played with Bentley and Lenore. I will cherish the memories I have of him playing with my children. I know Papa's up there telling our third baby all of his stories, all of the cheesy jokes, and teaching them how to dance. Papa was a huge part of my family's lives, and we are so grateful for the opportunity we had to spend so much time with him. Papa never missed a baby blessing, a birthday party, or a holiday, as long as it meant spending time with the kids. We loved to have them visit, and it was always so sad to sing adios as they drove away, but we knew he was always anxious for the next visit. The memories I have could fill an entire book, and I'll be sure to remember them and create further memories that would make him proud. I know this isn't goodbye, but I see you soon.
Thank you, Cassie, for sending that in, and we will see him soon. And from Gina.
Papa was probably the most influential person in my life. He was a jack of all trades, an adventurer, and somebody who I think loved being a grandpa more than anything on earth. Anybody that knew him knew his seemingly boundless energy, contagious laugh, and unbelievable stories. We were really close from the very beginning. Some of my first memories are from when I was 6 years old and he hired me to work at his party store. I worked for him on weekends until he sold his store and retired, but I definitely think his entrepreneurial spirit stuck with me. We catered parties for thousands of people, and our teamwork was something that I just don't think very many grandparent and grandchild duos get to experience. I got to live with my grandparents when I was in college. And for 5 years, we had special holiday meals scheduled around my grocery store work schedule. We went on Trader Joe's shopping trips trying to find fun, unique, new ingredients. And we spent late nights watching our favorite trashy TV shows. I cherish that I was able to spend 5 years of my adulthood being friends and roommates with Papa. Papa was truly one of a kind. He never met a stranger. He was flipping houses into his 80s. He was always go, go, go. I miss him so much already, and I really can't even imagine a world without him.
Thank you, Gina. Gina and her wife Miley live in New Mexico. Jim and Shirley had plenty of opportunities to go visit them in New Mexico and help Gina move out there. And Miley sent in one of her favorite memories of Jim, and here it is.
So one of my favorite memories that I have with GP is the time we floated down the Rio Grande. There was hardly any water left in the river at that point, but we didn't care. We kept getting stuck in the sand, and Gina kept having to pull us out. And I remember that Mama would just, she was laughing about it, and I was over there floating next to GP listening to all his wild stories. Like, I didn't care if we were out there for 5 hours or 5 days. It just, time felt fake with him, right? I only knew him for a few years, unfortunately, but it felt like more, and maybe that's because he packed the adventure in. Every day was full of memories and fun and energy, and I laugh when I think about the time he ran around the parking lot at one of the rec centers in their community, and I was thinking, wasn't I the one that's supposed to go to the gym? Wasn't I the one with the energy? But no, he literally ran laps around me that day. And, so when I think about everything he was and all the light and laughter that he instilled in everyone, and all the memories and pictures and stories, I feel like I'm still getting to know him, maybe even at a deeper level at this point. So to me, he doesn't feel entirely gone. I know that, there's gonna be some days where I'm feeling like no energy, and I'm just gonna think, what would GP do? He'd probably go skydiving, and that's how I'm going to approach life, I think. I'm gonna dress brighter, live wilder, and just kind of I'm gonna think about him, and I'm gonna look at Gina, and I see all the good that she has, and I know where that came from.
I love that thought, Miley. Dress brighter and live wilder. Dress brighter and live wilder in memory of Jim and of Papa. Miley said on Facebook a couple days ago, I remember seeing in one of her posts, that every time they were with each other, Jim had more energy than everyone else combined. And I don't know how, but that was true. He had more energy than all of us. And the last time we saw him on Christmas just a month ago, he was playing with Bentley, with Bentley's new toys. He was just so full of life and so excited to play with the kids. Gina mentioned in her story that Papa hired her to work at the One Shop Party Stop. I hope I'm saying that right. And we've put a slideshow together highlighting some of the artwork that was done on the outside of Jim's store. And if you look closely, you'll see each of these pieces of artwork for each holiday highlights Jim's 6 grandchildren. Just another tribute and another sign of how much he loved them. About 7 years ago, Jim and Shirley became great-grandparents when Porter was born. And we're now going to look at Jim's life as a great-grandfather. He loved listening to the kids sing. And I was watching through some of our Marco Polo threads, and Porter and Crosby would sing to him all the time, and he would always respond back, great singing, boys, great singing, kids. And so when I asked what the great-grandchildren wanted to do, Porter and Crosby decided they wanted to sing a song for Papa.
Country road, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, mountain mama, take me home. Country road. Stranger to the water, dark and dusty, painted on the sky. Misty days, the moon shines, tears up in my eye. Country roads, take me home to the place I belong. Mountain mama, take me home. Country roads. I hear a voice in the morning light. It calls me. Radio mountain, a home far away. It doesn't mean the road. That I should have been home yesterday. Country roads, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, mountain mama, take me home. Country roads, take me home to the place Sweet home, country roads.
I can see in my mind right now the response Jim would have. He would say something like, well, great job, Porter and Crosby. You're on your way to big singing competitions. And he loved seeing those Marco Polo messages, and we loved seeing Jim's responses. Sticking with the music theme, here's Reese from New Mexico.
This is for Elise for GP. We miss you.
Thank you, Reese, for sending that in. Another song that Jim surely would have loved and probably does love right now as we're watching this. Loved hearing that and seeing that. Jim and Shirley would always sing a song to their grandchildren and their great-grandchildren when they left town. And they always said, we're leaving now, but we'll be back. And then they would say the next holiday or the next birthday. And we'll always remember them singing this song to us, and now the great-grandchildren are singing it back to Jim and Shirley. And here's a slideshow highlighting Jim Domian as a great-grandfather, something that he absolutely loved to be.
Adios, amigos. Sorry that we cannot stay. I found someone strong in there. Who's waiting for me down in Santa Fe. Adios, amigos. Sorry I cannot stay.
Adios, adios, adios,
adios, amigo. Sorry, but I cannot stay. I found someone strong and fair who's waiting for me there down in Santa Fe. Adios, amigo. Soon the wedding bells will chime. Guess it's very plain to see how happy I will be when he's mine, oh mine. I've always been a rover. I've been to towns all over and never lost my heart. Whenever I'd surrender to kisses that were tender, the dream would fall apart.
Oh, one day near the border, I met a handsome fellow with eyes like candlelight.
His lips were sweet and tender, his voice was soft and gentle, his hair as dark as night. Adios, amigo. Sorry, but I cannot stay. I found someone strong and fair who's waiting for me there down in Santa Fe. Adios, amigo. Soon the wedding bells will chime. Guess it's very plain to see how happy I will be when he's mine, oh mine. I'm sorry I can't linger, there's something for my finger he's buying at the store. When I get where I'm heading, there's gonna be a wedding to someone I adore. Adios, amigo. Soon the wedding bells will chime.
nachos, muchachos.
Jim and Shirley loved being great-grandparents. You can see it in those pictures, and you can just see it in Jim's smile and in his eyes as he is holding and playing with those precious little children. And something that I know we'll all remember and strive to be the kind of person that could love the children in our lives as much as he did. I know over the past week, that's one thing that's hit me really hard, is that now it's up to us to love them like Jim did. Porter has a memory of Jim, and we saw some pictures of Jim golfing with Bentley and Porter, and he loved to do that, and that's one of Porter's memories.
Hi, my name is Porter James. I am 6 years old, and I loved my papa. I had a sleepover with him, and I went golfing, and I have this song to sing. It's called I Loved Golfing. Oh, I loved golfing. Golfing is fun. Why don't you try? It's so fun. I'm so good at it. It's so fun. Funner than basketball and football and wrestling. And he taught me how to swim when we went to Cancun. And I'll see you next time. Bye.
Thanks, Porter. He just came up with that song on the fly. I love to golf. And Jim would love that. Jim would love that song that Porter just wrote for us for this ceremony. Thank you, Porter. And then one of Jordan's memory is of, I think Miley said that they called him the Flying Orange when they were in Cancun, and Jim was wearing orange. He's loved the color orange for the past several years. And here is what Jordan had to say about the Flying Orange.
This is for GP, and he always was very bright. Like his whole clothing was basically orange. And my memory of GP is when we went ziplining and his helmet was orange.
We'll always remember the orange. My oldest son is Bentley, and he is 5.5 years old. He absolutely loved Jim. Every time Jim was in town, they were so excited for Papa to come and to play with Papa and to go out in the front yard and golf with Papa, or to throw balls in the house with each other, or to slide down the stairs with each other. I've told people the past week that when Jim was with Bentley, Jim was 10 years old again. And we've heard others talk about that, but Bentley loved having Papa as a best friend every time Papa was here in Provo. And here's what Bentley had to say, some of his memories about Jim.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello there.
Hello now. Hi, my name is Bentley Neely, and I like to do stuff with Papa, going golfing with me and Papa and my dad, and I won it. My name is Bentley Neely, and this is what I like to do with Papa when at Mexico. We're with Iggy and Papa and me and Papa are scuba diving. We wanted to feed Iggy some goldfish, and so we found goldfish in the water and we threw it out to Iggy. And he bit Papa's finger. Hey, my name is Bentley Neely, and this is what I like to do with Papa playing Nerf guns. And please, and I like to do stuff with him.
Turn around. Come here. Turn around. Come back here. Turn around. Let me see. Come a little closer. I see it. Oh. It was under your shirt. It was under your shirt. So close.
Wham! On the 12th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me
12 drummers drumming,
11 pipers piping,
10 lords a leaping,
9 ladies dancing,
7 swans are swimming,
6 geese a laying,
5 golden rings,
4 calling birds,
3 French hens,
2 turtle doves,
and a partridge
partridge in a pear tree. Yay!
Good job.
My true love gave to me
Papa.
5 golden rings,
3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree.
But I'm sorry that he died.
Thank you, Jim, for being such a good friend to Bentley. Someone said a few days ago, I hope Bentley never forgets him, and I don't think he will. I don't think Bentley will ever forget you, Jim. I added that 12 Days of Christmas song, and I know a lot of people had that experience with Jim and Shirley, and I've even seen someone wrote about that in the chat here a few minutes ago, that they remember doing the 12 Days of Christmas with Jim and Shirley on Thanksgiving. And Jim was always the 5th day. He was always 5 golden rings. And on Christmas, just about 5 weeks ago, I added that second clip because Bentley got a microphone for Christmas and they wanted to sing that song. And we got to the 5th day, you could hear Ken and Brock say, "All right, Jim, all right, Pop, it's your turn." And Jim holds his hand out towards Bentley and gave him the opportunity to be the 5 golden rings guy. And we'll never sing that song the same way. Precious memories. My other daughter is Lenore, and she's not the greatest of talkers, but she likes to try to talk, and here's what she had to say about Papa.
Masa, Mesa, Papa.
Lenore, say, I miss Papa.
No, Dad.
Say it again.
Mesa, Papa.
Say it loud. Say, Mama Papa's cuckoo clock.
I love Mama, Papa, cuckoo clock.
So over the past hour, we've seen Jim as a sibling, and Audrey wrote here on Facebook that Jim was the best brother ever. We've seen Jim as a father. We've seen Jim as a grandfather. We've seen Jim as a great-grandfather. And now we're going to see him as a husband. He took Shirley to 6 different continents. They had adventure after adventure after adventure. And I loved asking him, hey, what's the next thing? And he would talk about the next trip or the next cruise or the timeshare that he just bought a couple months ago, and he loved going on those adventures. He loved doing them with Shirley, and now we get the opportunity to experience Jim and Shirley's wild experience over the past 57 years as they've traveled around the world and made a lifetime's worth of memories. Here is Jim Domian as a husband.
When the rains came down in the hollow, playing a new game, laughing and a running, hey, hey, skipping and a jumping in the misty morning fog with our hearts a thumping, and you, my brown-eyed girl, and you, and whatever happened to Tuesday and so slow, going down the old man with a transistor radio, standing in the sunlight laughing, hiding behind a rainbow's wall, slipping and sliding all along the waterfall with you, my brown-eyed girl. We used to sing sha-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la, just like that. Sha-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la. So hard to find my way. Just the other day, my, you have grown. Cast my memory back there, Lord. Sometimes I'm overcome thinking about making love in the green grass behind the stadium with you, my brown-eyed girl. You, my brown-eyed girl. Do you remember when we used to sing? Sha-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la.
"57 years of amazing memories shared between Jim and Shirley that we got to experience some of right there." I loved that that second to last picture of Jim and Shirley so happy, and then with Santa Claus just about 5 weeks ago at their at Leah's home in Provo. I know that Shirley has felt all of your love on Facebook, and as you've reached out to her, and we appreciate the posts that we've seen on Facebook. We appreciate the messages that we've gotten. We appreciate all the love and support that we feel from you. We appreciate you for spending some of your Sunday with us, more than you know. And there was a comment just a couple minutes ago that said Jim would have loved what you did for him today. A touching and joyful tribute, just like Jimmy, full of joy. Jim, I hope that that's the case. I hope that you enjoyed this. I hope that you have been able to experience this with us as we've honored your life and celebrated your life and the relationships that we've had with you. I let everyone speak in a pre-recorded message, and I've thought about just a couple thoughts that I would like to share before we end. Jim was unwaveringly supportive of me and of all of us that were close with him. I remember every time I had anything going on, he would show support, and he would call and say, "Hey Dave, let's go golfing. Let's get your mind off this or your mind off that. Let's go golfing. Meet me in St. George. Let's go golfing for a couple days." He would always jump at the opportunity to take me out, and I would always jump at the opportunity to say yes. Jim, thanks for all the golf trips. Thanks for the trips to Mexico. We will treasure those memories forever. I think I speak on behalf of my family, but also on behalf of all your grandchildren when I say that. Thank you for those trips, and thank you for taking us all around the world and letting us have so much fun. Thanks for everything that you did for all of us. I sent Jim some Marco Polo messages right when he went into the hospital, and I would look at Marco Polo a couple hours later and see that he had watched them. He wasn't able to respond, but he was able to watch some of our Marco Polo messages. And at the end of every message, I would say, "Jim, we'll see you soon. We'll see you soon." And I believe that now just as much as I did then. Jim, we'll see you soon. We love you. We appreciate you. We look forward to the opportunity we have to go golfing again, to go swimming again, to hear your stories again. And my very last story before we say good afternoon is Shirley asked us to call the hospital just a couple hours before Jim passed away, and Cassie and I were talking to the nurse, and I asked the nurse to go hold Jim's hand for us and say, "Your grandkids love you." And Edna, the nurse, said, "Well, I'll just put this phone on speakerphone and put it up to his ear." And so she took the phone in there, and Cassie and I told Jim thanks, and that we love him, and that we're so appreciative of everything that he's done for us. And the last thing that I asked Jim to do was to go find us a good baby. And I know Cassie and I can just see in our minds right now, Jim's up there talking to whoever is going to join our family in just a couple of weeks. And hopefully he's given them some good stories and some good heads up as he's about to come down to earth. Because there's no one that would be better at that than Jim. We love Jim. We appreciate Jim. And we love all you also. Thanks for the work that you've done to help put this together, and thanks for watching. Thanks for sending in your comments. Thanks for sending in your stories. We'll certainly read those. I know Shirley's been seeing them. Please, I think the only thing we can do moving forward is to love like Jim did, dress crazier and live wilder, and do it in memory of Jim. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Jim. We love you.
I'm missing you guys. I'll see you soon. Love you, Guy. Bye.
Oh, yes, I'm the great pretender. Pretending that I'm doing well. My need is such, I pretend too much. I'm lonely, but no one can tell. Oh, yes, I'm the great pretender. Adrift in a world of my own. I play the game, but to my real shame, you've left me to dream all alone. Too real is this feeling of make-believe. Too real when I feel what my heart can't conceal. Oh, yes, I'm the great pretender. Just laughing and gay like a clown. I seem to be what I'm not. You see, I'm wearing my heart like a crown. Pretending that you're still around. Too real is this feeling of make-believe. Too real when I feel what my heart can't conceal. Yes, I'm the great pretender. Just laughing and gay like the clown. I seem to be what I'm not. You see, I'm wearing my heart like a crown. Pretending that you're still around.
Quanto le gusta, le gusta, le gusta, le gusta, le gusta, le gusta, le gusta.
Quanto le gusta, le gusta, le gusta, le gusta, le gusta, le gusta.
Oi, quanto le gusta, le gusta, le gusta, le gusta, le gusta, le gusta, le gusta.
Quanto le gusta, le gusta, le gusta, le gusta, le gusta, le gusta.
We gotta get going, where we go and what are we gonna do? We're on our way to somewhere, but only me and you. Or we'll sit there, who will sit there, what'll be the big surprise? There may be caballeros with dark and flashing eyes. We're on our way.
We're on our way.
Pick up your pack.
Pick up your pack.
And if we stay, we won't come back.
We won't come back.
How can we go? We haven't got a dime, but we're going, and we're gonna have a happy time. Quanto le gusta, le gusta, le gusta, le gusta, le gusta, le gusta, le gusta.
Quanto le gusta, le gusta, le gusta, le gusta, le gusta, le gusta.
Oi, quanto le gusta, le gusta, le gusta, le gusta, le gusta, le gusta, le gusta.
Quanto le gusta, le gusta, le gusta, le gusta, le gusta, le gusta.
Now someone said they just came back from somewhere. A friend of mine that I don't even know. He said there's lots of fun if we can get there. If that's the case, that's the place we want to go. We gotta get going, where we going, what we gonna do? We're on our way to somewhere, but only me and you. Who will see there, who will be there, what'll be the big surprise? There may be caballeros with dark and flashing eyes. I'll take the train.
I'll take the train.
You take the boat.
You take the boat.
Well, I'll take the plane.
I'll take the plane.
And you ride the boat.
You ride the boat.
Oh, we don't care. We'll either walk or climb, but we're going, and we're gonna have a happy time. quanto le gusta, le gusta, le gusta, le gusta, le gusta, le gusta, le gusta.
Quanto le gusta, le gusta, le gusta, le gusta, le gusta, le gusta.
Quanto le gusta, le gusta, le gusta, le gusta, le gusta, le gusta.
Quanto le gusta, le gusta, le gusta, le gusta, le gusta, le gusta.
Quanto le gusta, le gusta, le gusta, le gusta, le gusta, le gusta.
A girl went back to Napoli because she missed the scenery, the native dances and the charming songs. But wait a minute, something's wrong. Mambo Italiano, mambo Italiano, go, go, go. You mixed up Siciliano, all you Calabrese do the mambo like a crazy with a mambo. Don't want a tarantella, mambo. No more the mozzarella, mambo. Mambo Italiano, try an enchilada with the fish bacala and an gumba. I love how you dance rumba. But take some of advice, paisano. Learn how to mambo. If you're gonna be a square, you ain't gonna go nowhere. Hey, mambo, mambo Italiano. Hey, mambo, mambo Italiano. Go, go, Joe. Shake it like a Giovanni. Hey, look, as a ditch, you get a happy in the feet. So when you mambo Italiano. Baby, shake it, 'cause I love it when you take me. Mama say stop or I'm gonna tell her Papa and I hate child rule. You don't have to go to school. Just make a with a beat bambino. It's like a vino. Kid, you're good at looking, but you don't know it's cooking till you hate mambo. Mambo Italiano, hey mambo, mambo Italiano, oh, oh, oh. You mixed up Siciliana, it's so delicious. Everybody come capisce how to mambo Italiano. That's nice.